clear paper.
So very warm welcome, Dr. Balakrishna Shetty. I'll just give you all a brief introduction of Dr. Balakrishna Shetty. He is a Vice Chancellor of Shri Siddhartha University, Bangalore, and he's a certified qualified radiologist at EMRI, University of Texas, US. He's also a professor and consultant in radiology, Asia Diagnostics Center, Bangalore, and he's a member of Consortium Investigating Health at the Washington, D.C. Dr. Balakrishna Shetty would be speaking on risks associated with medical devices and mobile medical devices. It's very enlightening to see you, sir.
Thank you very much
for your time. Thank you for your time. And so you can continue, sir.
Thank you, Mohinder, for that excellent introduction. So let us go with the risks associated with the medical devices. I am Dr. Balakrishna Shetty. Basically, I am a radiologist, and I deal with the radiation equipment, number one. Now, let us say medical devices and the risks associated with medical devices. So, when we talk about risks associated with medical devices, we talk about so many type of medical devices. Okay, the number one medical, and these medical devices are categorized as 1, 2, and 3. Category 1 medical devices generally they do not need any license, no accreditation. For example, the equipment used for surgery, the equipment used for measurements, the equipment used for patient transport, all those things, they do not need any licensing or something like that. And there are category 2 and 3 equipment. Basically, these are radiology equipments. These definitely need licensing, and they need a security aspect as far as usage of these equipment are considered. Now, let's not worry too much about the category 1 equipment. Now, we'll talk about category 2. As a radiologist, I would like to focus on category 2 and 3 equipment, which need certification, which need security measures before usage. Now, coming to these radiological equipments, okay. Now, what are these radiological equipments? So, radiological equipments, we talk about radiology. Basically, radiology is nothing but electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic radiation, which starts from the light photons, and it involves the X-rays, the gamma rays, alpha, beta, gamma rays, all these rays. Basically, they are high energy radicals or high energy photoelectric radiations. For a long time, we never knew that, for example, I would like to say that X-rays were detected in 1895. Okay, it was detected by William Röntgen. And finally, in the subsequent year, radium was detected. Radium was an isotope which was giving radio isotopes, radio energy. So for a long time, the discoverer of radium, that is Marie Curie and Pierre Curie, husband and wife, they were so much elated, so much of excited, so much of thrilled by the amount of radioactivity in that particular isotope called as radium. And they were carrying it right, left and center in their pockets. They were carrying it in their hands. They did not know whether it was secure or not. And finally, they ended up with multiple diseases, especially some sort of skin cancers. And all those things, all those histories they came to know, all those things they came to know after a long period of usage. So what I'm telling is right now, such situation doesn't exist. So right now we need a lot of certifications, a lot of accreditations, and a lot of requirements before using these devices. So let me start with the mobile devices, then radiation devices, then ultrasound devices, then magnetism devices, CT scan devices, PET CT devices, and various other devices which is utilized in medical imaging. Now, apart from those surgical equipment, transportation equipment, mobile chairs, and measuring equipment, which do not need a lot of accreditation, lot of safety measures, let us come to other equipment which definitely need safety measures. So the first and foremost is the monitors. Okay, so when you talk about monitors and mobiles and other equipment, what is important is the electromagnetic radiation which is emitted by these monitors. Before talking about these electromagnetic radiations, I also should talk about the other hazards associated with monitors, basically the batteries. Okay, so I need not go about in a detail regarding the usage of the batteries, how the batteries should be used, and what are the measures, what are the precautions to be taken before using the batteries and these things. That I think everybody should know. As a radiologist, I need not highlight too much about it. So once I talk about these hazards due to the batteries used in the monitors, then comes the amount of radiation which comes out of all these monitors. So basically, I would like to say the amount of radiation which comes out of each and every monitor, and also the TV monitors, is not at all significant. So we generally call it as non-hazardous. The amount of radiation, of course, you can go through various data articles telling that which will mention what is the amount of radiation. Today, for the next 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I will not talk about various data. Today, the lectures, the webinars, or maybe when I talk to my students in the classrooms, it is not the question of giving data, because there is no point in collecting data, because all this data is available. If you have got a hand phone, if you have got a mobile phone, and if you open it and you ask how much is the radiation from a monitor, within 30 seconds it will tell you how much is the radiation coming out of each monitor. So I am not here to give you various data and data statistics and how many people have exposed, how many people had a problem, how many people suffered, how many people died. All those things, data and statistics, I am not going to give you, and I feel you should go through that, and it is easily available. Any online media and online internet and everything, it is easily available. So I am not going to give you all those things. I'm going to basically talk about, is it hazardous? What are the basic principles? Number one, what are the basic principles involved in these imaging equipment? Okay, and what are the types of equipment, and what are the security measures to be utilized when utilizing this equipment? So first of all, monitors, mobile data, electromagnetic radiation, which is of very low quantity, and they do not have any significance as far as the security aspects are considered, as far as various health hazards are considered. But the most important thing, I had to one very interesting situation I would like to tell you was when I was called to discuss as a radiologist on national TV regarding the amount of radiation which is emitted by the mobile phone. There was an interesting question from a devotee, is a devotee of Tirupati Tirumala Trust, the great Tirupati temple. In Tirupati Tirumala, they had put all those what is called as barricades, what are called mobile barricades around the sanctum sanctorium, around the Garbhagudi, what we say, so that the devotees will not be able to get any call on their mobile phone, so that mobile correspondence and mobile talking was totally banned. And it was, even though it was banned, it was going on, so they put a barricades so that they will not get any mobile signal in their mobile phones. One of the devotee had a very interesting question. He said, nowadays, because of these mobile barricades, or barricades for mobile radiation getting, or the mobile communication getting inside the sanctum sanctorium, he said, nowadays, when I go to Tirupati temple and I stand in front of Lord Venkateshwara, I don't get that real vibration of God. I don't feel that this God is there. Is it because of the barricades which are put for the mobile communication? So that was a very good question. That was a very important question, and that was a very tricky question which was put to me to CA, and I had to discuss How much was the radiation? Is it really worth considering? Is it important? What I want to tell you is, of course, if there are vibrations from the Almighty God, I don't think any barricades or any fence or any restrictive material will stop God's propagation of vibration. That is the first point I would like to say. So no barricades can stop God's powers. But the most important point I conveyed on that particular day is it is not that you do not get a vibration when you are inside the temple. You do not get a vibration because you are always or you are all the time worried about the number of calls coming to your phone. When you carry the phones around with you, you're always worried what's okay about your business, about your profession, about your family, about your friends, about your so many other things. You'll be continuously getting all those calls, and you'll be always wondering how many calls you get, and you'll be waiting for the calls, missed calls. All such nonsense will be happening in your mind, and naturally you will not get any vibration of the God. So you'll not be thinking too much about the God. You'll be thinking too much about the mobile phone. So it is not a question of God's vibrations are stopped by the barricades. It is your own vibrations which are not going out and not going to fuse or collaborate with the God's vibrations. That is the most important point here. So what I'm going to say today is, as far as a monitor, the photoelectric radiation coming from the monitors, TVs, and the mobile is concerned, it is totally insignificant and it is totally not important. But the most important message I would like to convey here is it is the amount of radiation. It is a volume of radiation. It is a time. How long you talk to your how long you use your mobile phone. That is very important. Even though the radiation is insignificant, if the amount of or the volume of or the length of time you use mobile phones, it definitely matters. That's the first point I would like to say. Now, what are the most another first point, that is a total duration. That is important rather than the quality or the quantity of radiation. The total duration is much more important than all these monitors. First point. The second point, as far as the radiation is considered, it is the radiation effect is directly proportional to or inversely proportional to the distance, square of the distance. It's inversely. That means with increasing distance, when you increase the distance from the equipment which is emitting radiation, if as you increase the distance, the radiation effect decreases by the square of the distance. That is more important. So as you hold your mobile very closer, you get more radiation. If you hold it, if it is 1, when you hold it about, if it goes by 2 centimeters, the radiation decreases by 4 times. If it is 4 centimeters, decreases by 16 times. If it is 8 centimeters, it decreases by 64 times. So square of the distance, it decreases by the square of the distance. That is important. That is why many people don't hold the phone very close to you. That is the most important point you should follow. You should not hold the phone very close to you. Now, listening to this, many people started having a Bluetooth, keeping the phone in the pocket and started talking the Bluetooth and using so many types of wires. But the Bluetooth and the wires they may reduce the radiation, but the most important problem of this Bluetooth device or the wired device is your length of talking or duration of talking over the phone usually increases multifold. Multifocal increase will be multifold increase will be there. The duration of talking. So when you hold here like this, you may be talking for maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 4 minutes. But when you keep like this in your pocket and keep a wire and a Bluetooth, your duration of discussion or talking increases many folds. So what is important? It is a time and the distance. These two are important. So instead of thinking too much about the hazards of mobile radiation, the hazards of mobile equipment, one should decide to reduce the amount of mobile discussions and viewing the monitors. These are the most important points I would like to say as far as the mobile devices are concerned. And with all those technological interventions, with all the technological inventions, there are side effects. Okay, you start from any innovations in the world today, starting from 1800th century, 19th century. There are so many innovations. Each and every innovation is always involved with some sort of a side effect, some sort of a effect for the mankind and for the health. But the most important solution for that is not thinking too much about the side effects. Only thing is important: you should limit the utilization of all these devices which have got a subtle risk factor. So this is as far as the monitors and the mobile devices are considered. So these are the 2 points I would like to say. Now, there are incidents like because of the mobile radiation, we have got small meningeal problems, so small brain tumors, all such things were there. But there are no statistical correlation, though there is no scientific correlation for developing cancers because of mobile. But my one strong request is reduce the usage of mobile radiation. Just I told you, radioactivity. Marie Curie, Pierre Curie, they went around with the radioisotope in their hand because they are not sure about, because they did not know the hazards. So any technological device may have some amount of side effect, may have some health hazards. So instead of going to the scientific literature or research, we know the value of scientific research in this time of corona crisis. We know that we have got these Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, Cambridge, so many universities, Hopkins, Mayo University, and they are doing research every day. And there are so many patients dying, not only in the US, not only in any part of not only in India, but also in the entire globe. And entire research faculty, entire science faculty, not able to give us a concrete guidance for controlling this disease, not only treating this, let alone treating this disease. Initially, they said it is chloroquine which is important. Then they said azithromycin is important. Then they said zinc is important. And finally, they said antiviral like remdesivir is important. Now they say they are all useless drugs as far as controlling. After over a period of 6 months, by trial and error method, not by research, not by science, not by anything, by trial and error method, they said remdesivir, chloroquine, azithromycin, zinc, vitamin D, and so many of these Ayurvedic drugs, they are not at all useful for controlling this corona disease. So, what I am emphasizing today, it is not the research and the science output which comes out of journals which is important. It is to say that natural living is always safe and healthy. Unnatural living, unnatural items, unnatural devices will definitely have unnatural effect on the human body. So this is the point which I am telling regarding mobile devices and monitors. First point. Second point, I would like to talk upon the radiation equipments. So, in the electromagnetic radiation, we have got the low energy light photons and another little extra energy, higher energy electrophotons, which is coming out of monitors and devices. Now, higher energy, these are called the X-rays. Okay. Now, how the X-rays are discovered? What are these X-rays? Let us not go into the details of that. But these X-rays, without any hesitation, we can say that they are hazardous, because not only research and science, we have got a lot of practical information to say that the equipment which produce X-rays, they are high energy photoelectric particles. They have got a definitive side effect on the human health and happiness, human health and the human tissues. Basically, they are all called as ionizing radiations. They are called as ionizing radiations. So, where are these X-rays? These X-rays are there in X-ray machines. These X-rays are there in CT scan. These X-rays are there in PET CT scan. So various equipment, except in ultrasound, that whatever is called as a ultrasound equipment and MRI equipment, except ultrasound and MRI. Any other equipment, angiography equipment, it has got an X-ray. Bronchography X-ray, it has got an X-ray. Anything, you can talk about electrography, enterography, so many graphies, all graphies, most of the graphies are, or most of the graphs of human bodies are done by X-ray radicals and X-ray radiation. So all these X-rays, all these equipment which emit X-ray have got a negative effect or a side effect or health hazards. Okay. Now, what shall we do? Again, the principles are same. They are high energy. They are high energy electrophotonic radiations, electrophotonic radicals. They cause ionizing radiation. Of course, first of all, the first and foremost problem is increasing the heat of the body tissues. Number two, they react with the electrons. Number three, they react with the genetic material, so they can cause cancers. Okay. Again, what are the securities? What are the measures you should follow when you handle these X-ray machines? Number one, avoid the X-rays as much. Avoiding is the best security and the best prevention. Even if you consider coronavirus disease, avoiding is the best prevention. Similarly, these X-ray hazards, the best method is avoiding radiation. Number one. Now, number two, if you cannot avoid radiation, then what you should do? The next thing, what you should know, you have to protect yourself. If X-ray procedure is mandatory, then you have to protect yourself. Now, one is avoid. Second is find out alternate methods. Instead of X-ray diagnosis or X-ray imaging, you can use alternate methods of imaging. So alternate methods of imaging are ultrasound imaging and MRI imaging, especially in children. If there's a child, okay, instead of doing X-ray or CT scan for that child, definitely you should consider doing an MRI or ultrasound. Very important. Ultrasound can give you a lot of information. So either do an ultrasound or MRI. This is the most important study you can do instead of X-ray. So always let it be not only for this particular talk. If you have got a child, your neighbor's child, anybody's child, pregnant women, for all those people, when somebody asks you to get an X-ray, please ask a doctor, shall I do ultrasound? Shall I do MRI? This is the most important point you can ask the doctor. So not only avoid, number two, find out an alternative method of diagnosis. Now, number three, if there is no alternative diagnosis, then you have to go for a prevention. So the prevention is, using something between the X-ray producing equipment and your body. Now, one more thing, I would like to say, I'm very sorry that I could not organize my slides properly at this particular time. I was ready for a 4 o'clock lecture. Okay, maybe next time I can show you all these slides. But the most important point I would like to say is, it is X-ray beams. X-ray beams have got what are called as the primary beams and the secondary beams. So the X-rays have got the primary beams and the secondary beams. So one beam which goes directly is called the primary beam, and the one goes around is called the scattered beam. Okay. Now, sometimes people used to think that primary beams have got more hazard. No, the primary beams have got high kilovoltage, so they pass through the body and give us a picture of the body. Whereas the scattered rays cause more problem, because scattered rays have got a low radiation, and the low radiation or low kV, low potentials. So these scattered rays are immediately absorbed by the human tissues. So scattered rays have got more health hazard than the primary rays. So that means if you are getting an X-ray, direct X-rays, your hazards are less. But you are standing nearby when somebody is taking an X-ray, you have got more hazard. You are not getting an X-ray, number one. You are not getting any medical investigation. Only thing is you are getting only the scattered radiation which spreads around, and it causes you the hazards. So remember, so whenever whenever there is an X-ray procedure going on, you should see that either you should not enter that room, X-ray room at all, or you should wear the protective sheets. Second point. So what are these protective sheets? That's also very important. The protective sheets can be anything for that matter. Okay, the one which is very standardized is the lead coat. Okay, lead is the one. Basically lead is that is in the eighth column of the periodic table, which has got the electron configuration, which is very good to absorb all the X-rays. So the X-ray, the lead will absorb all the X-rays. So these X-rays will not go through your lead coat. So basically, people wears a lead shield for the thyroid. Sometimes people use lead glasses for their eyes and the lead coat for their whole body. So lead is a protection for the lead is the element which is very useful for your protection. Now, another security measure is whenever using a radiation equipment, you should see that the walls of the rooms are at least 9 centimeter. There should be at least 9 inch thick. 9 inch thickness wall should be there. Okay, if it is made up of bricks and mortar, it should be 9 inch thick. Otherwise, it should be 6 inch thick, and you should put a lead coating. All those equivalents you'll get it you'll get it in the internet. So, what is the lead equivalent for a wall? What is the lead equivalent for the eye shield, the thyroid shield, the body shield? All those things you get it in the internet. I need not speak about that. But so what I'm telling is avoid X-rays. Find out an alternative. Number three, find out the protective measures, especially one is lead sheets, and the other thing which I told you already, keep away, remain away. Go 1 foot behind, you get a square of that distance benefit. So instead of 2 feet, go for 4 feet, 8 feet. If at all you have to stay, you stay away from the X-ray source. That means the radiation effect will be less. Now, often people come to me. They say, "Sir, last time they took a chest X-ray. Again, after one day they took a chest X-ray. Again, after a week they are taking chest X-ray. Sir, every month I'm getting about 20 to 30 chest X-rays. Whether I'm prone for cancers and all those things, all those problems." Uh, this is a very valid question because how many X-rays you can take? Again, you can look into the internet for equivalent, but what I would love to say is the chest X-rays have got very low radiation, abdomen X-rays have a little more radiation, and bone X-rays also have got less radiation. Generally, even if you take one X-ray per day, even up to 100 to 150 X-rays per year will not cause much hazard. That is one. And that means almost like, let us say, if you have got about 10 X-rays per month, if you take 120 X-rays in a year, you do not have any hazard. You are it is within the safety measures. Number one. Another thing, what I'd like to say is, if you are taking repeated X-rays, giving a gap in between. Let's say you are taken 5 X-rays in a day, you as much gap as possible. You should not repeat the X-rays frequently. Give as much as gap as possible so that X-rays are not repeated frequently. Giving a gap for the body tissues. Giving a gap for the body tissues is very, very important so that they rejuvenate, they revive, they get enough time to rejuvenate their DNA. Which is getting spoiled by the X-ray. So distance and avoid, then repetition, give time for repetition. Don't repeat the X-rays regularly. Coming to the CT scan, all these CT scan, mammography, OPG, all those X-rays, they're nothing but X-rays, 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 X-rays. They all have radiation effect. They all have hazardous effect on the human body. So, and anytime if you are within the room where X-rays are produced, you should use a lead shield. You should avoid that going inside the room. Usually, CT scans are finished within 2 to 3 minutes. It's not necessary that you should stay inside. Even if loved ones are inside, don't worry that you should be inside. So avoid such things because X-rays will not show whether you are a mother, father, or a friend or something like that. It will cause its own effects. So instead of simply sitting inside or standing inside, unnecessarily, just go outside. It is because CT scans takes hardly 5 minutes, not more than 5 minutes. I have not seen any CT scan which takes more than 5 minutes. Similarly, X-ray take a fraction of a second, 0.01 second to 0.1 second. So you as well can stand outside the room. You should not get exposed. These are security measures. I remember once a person came to me. He was inside a CT scan. I think his son was inside a CT scan, and he was outside. We had given him a lead apron, but we had not given anything to cover his head. Actually, after all the procedure was done, one fine day he came, sir, you have given me lead apron to cover my body, but you have not given anything to cover my body, cover my head. What will do if I get a brain cancer? Something like that. So the public has got different ideas. I told them, the brain is covered by the skull, and the skull will not allow the X-rays to go inside so easily. So for the brain and all, helmet and scans and lead helmet and all those things are not required. Only soft tissues which are easily exposed, like the eyes, the thyroid, should be protected. But one thing is very, very important. X-rays have got such an energy; they can even go through the skull bone, because that's how you get a CT scan of the brain. So it can go through skull bone. It can also go through the lead sheets. So you should not say that I've got a lead apron so that I can walk around the X-ray room easily and freely. One should be very, very careful about all these things. Number one. Now, these are two things. So X-rays and CT scans. Radiation, X-radiation is bad, bad, bad. Avoid it as much as possible. The third electrical or medical device is ultrasound. Ultrasound, with one word, I would like to say there are no hazards of ultrasound at all. One should not worry about ultrasound. Ultrasound, we do ultrasound for a pregnant woman. We do ultrasound for a newborn baby. We put ultrasound scopes so inside the body. Sometimes we can put it through the mouth and put it in the stomach. We put it through the other holes, whatever holes possible in the human body. We pass these probes inside and get the pictures. Why? Because they do not have any hazard. Ultrasound is again a sound beam. It is a sound beam. Okay, it's electromagnetic radiation. It's a sound beam. So we say the normal sound, audible sound, hypersonic, supersonic, and ultrasound is more than 10 lakh cycles per second. So that is the basic of ultrasound. So ultrasound basically it goes inside and gives the information of the human tissues. It is generally done in patients in pregnancy. It is done in newborn babies. So that is the way ultrasound is done. So that is important for ultrasound. And meanwhile, I would like to say there are no hazards of ultrasound. Okay, but there is one but comes always butting out. So why important is when you do ultrasound for a pregnant woman, basically before 8 weeks, because 0 to 8 weeks, that means almost 2 months of pregnancy, lot of organogenesis happens. Okay, and 8 to 12, up to 8 weeks, you should limit the number of ultrasounds. There are some pregnant women, they go for ultrasound for the day of conception. Every day they want to see how is the baby, how is this every time. So don't do such things. Maybe after 16 weeks you can get repeated ultrasounds. Okay, and most of these intrauterine or fetal anomalies, they are all detected after 12 weeks. You don't detect anything before 12 weeks. Okay, most of them are only after 12 weeks. So 12 weeks to 16 weeks, 12 weeks or 20 weeks is a time during which you should do repeated ultrasounds to detect minor anomalies in the fetus or in the embryo. So that is more important. So we do say that it is very safe, there are no hazards, but don't take a risk. I already told you these are unnatural radiations. They are unnatural is unnatural. I do not know how many hazards are there. So you should avoid doing it in the early pregnancy before 12 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are okay. And if you can do even 10 ultrasounds also okay, no problem. You have not come across any hazard because of ultrasound. But I would love to say you should avoid as much as possible. So X-ray over, ultrasound over, and the third. So we finished the monitors, mobile phones, X-rays, ultrasounds, and the last one I would like to say is about the magnetic resonance imaging or MRI. So MRI is there in medical imaging industry for the last 30 to 40 years. Okay, I would like to say for 30 years. So safety measures for ultrasounds are very important. For magnetic MRI equipments are very, very important because there is a very strong magnetic field, and that magnetic field is good enough to attract any paramagnetic compound, anything which is made up of iron, anything made up of any other iron or paramagnetic compound. So you should be very, very, very careful with the magnetic resonance equipment machine. So when you go inside, you should be very sure that there are no metallic objects in your human body, on the body. Okay, basically those metallic objects which are not fixed in position by another metallic object, they are very, very vulnerable. They are very vulnerable for separation from the human body, and they may cause a lot of problems. So MRI security measures are already taken up, or always taken up by the manufacturer. He gives all the safety measures. You need to follow that. I don't want to go to enumerate all those things. Now, only one point what I would like to say here is whether you can get an MRI, when you should not get an MRI. Only one thing is when you have got a cardiac pacemaker, you should not get an MRI because the battery may fail, battery may stop working, and then your heart may stop working. So that's the only one contraindication for doing an MRI. Other things, if you have got a metallic rod inside the human body, if you have got metallic rod in the any part of the body which is fixed in position with securely, then you need not to worry. You need to get only the permission from your consultant and the particular equipment that you can undergo MRI in this situation. So, dear friends, I'm sorry that I could not show you all the PowerPoint presentations. I'll make my honest effort to show you once again next time. Hope you have understood so many things as far as the security aspects of medical devices are considered, and hope this will be very useful to you. And I hope you will spread this knowledge across to your friends, faculty members, students. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much for the knowledgeful speech on risks associated with the medical devices. You have covered X-ray, MRI, ultrasound, and CT scan very beautifully. I have one question for you. How do you see, because you've spoken a lot about the hazardous things, the hazardous radiations coming out of X-rays. So how do you take thinking of innovating something for the replacement of these radiations to go out into the human body? What are the innovations we can think of for the replacement of these radiations?
Replacement of radiation is basically, instead of going radiation based studies, we do ultrasound and MRI studies, number one. That is why globally the number of X-ray and CT scans are coming down. The number of MRIs are increasing, especially for children and pregnant women. That is the one. That alternate imaging methodology, number one. Avoid methodology, avoid X-rays, or find out alternate methodology. That is the best thing. Or if you are undergoing a methodology like X-ray, you have to cover basically few parts should be covered when you are undergoing X-ray. One is your gonads or your genital organs. That is the gonads like ovaries and testes. That means the lower part of the body should be covered. If you are taking X-ray of the upper part, it should be covered. Okay. Similarly, the thyroid and this. Eyes. These are soft parts should be covered when you are taking an X-ray. If if you are taking X-ray of the shoulder joint for a fracture, cover this and basically cover the gonads. That is very, very important.
Okay, great. So I think the audience is enlightened with